So, you've probably heard all the buzz about the big AI race, right? Meta versus OpenAI. But what if I told you that's just a distraction? We're about to pull back the curtain on the one thing that truly keeps Mark Zuckerberg up at night. And trust me, it has very little to do with building a better chatbot. Right now, if you could look at the control panel inside Meta, you'd see red lights flashing all over the place. You've got nervous investors, worried analysts. The pressure is absolutely on. But what's really setting off all these alarms? Well, the usual story points to a few common culprits. You've got the insane, skyrocketing costs for building all this AI infrastructure. Then there's the billions, and I mean billions, being burned in reality labs. Ad money is slowing down thanks to competitors like TikTok, and yeah, of course, these new AI assistants are grabbing everyone's attention. These are all real issues for sure, but they're just symptoms of a much, much deeper fear. So what is it then? If it's not just about losing ad dollars or keeping up with the latest AI model, what's the fundamental threat that could literally change everything for Meta's future? The story everyone tells is pretty simple. Zuck is terrified of OpenAI, Sam Altman comes along, builds the hottest thing in tech, Microsoft backs him up, and now Meta's just scrambling to catch up with its llama models. That's the easy narrative. It makes for a good headline. But it completely misses the real fight Zuckerberg is focused on. And here it is. This is the whole thing. The real fear isn't a company like OpenAI. It's this deep, existential dread of becoming a tenant in someone else's kingdom all over again. It's a fear that comes from a very painful and very, very expensive lesson from the past. It's a fear of something called device dependency. So what in the world is device dependency? Well, think of it like this. It's the massive weak spot a company has when its entire business, its apps, its services, everything, has to live on a piece of hardware that's owned and controlled by a rival. We're talking about platforms like Apple's iOS or Google's Android. You don't own the house, you're just renting a room. And the best way to understand this power dynamic is to think of it like a landlord and a tenant. The landlord, the platform owner, like Apple, gets to set all the rules. They control who gets in, and they can change the rent or the rules whenever they want. And the tenant? Well, the tenant is just the app developer. They have to play by the rules, pay for access, and are completely at the mercy of the landlord's decisions. This perfectly describes Meta's painful past and the future it's desperately trying to avoid. To really get why Zuckerberg is so obsessed with this, we have to go back and look at a multi-billion-dollar scar that was left by Apple. And this isn't some ancient history, okay? This is the battle that completely defines Meta's strategy today. So all through the 2010s, Facebook was building this massive global empire, right? But it was all built on land owned by Apple and Google. Then, in 2021, the landlord, Apple, decided to change the terms of the lease. They rolled out app tracking transparency, which was a privacy update that hit Facebook's business model right where it hurt. The damage was just staggering. In 2022 alone, Meta lost an estimated $12.8 billion in revenue. Gone. Just like that. With the flip of a single switch, the landlord decided to take a massive cut. That was the real price of being a tenant. And the bleeding didn't stop there. Oh no, the ongoing hit is estimated to be as high as $50 billion a year. For their advertisers, the cost to get a new customer shot up 2.5 times, practically overnight. It was just a brutal, painful, and absolutely unforgettable lesson in what happens when you don't own the ground your business stands on. Okay, so this whole painful history explains everything about what Meta is doing in the age of AI. Zuckerberg knows that if AI assistants are the next big thing, the ultimate prize isn't just having the smartest AI, it's owning the device that the AI lives inside. Because think about it, whoever owns the device, whether it's smart glasses, earbuds, whatever, they control the whole experience. First, they get to be the middleman for all your interactions. When your AI glasses suggest a place for dinner, that's not just a friendly tip, it's a perfectly targeted ad. Second, they lock in your network. Your AI is now directly tied to your WhatsApp and Instagram friends. And third, and this is huge, they get to define culture itself, moving us away from screens and keyboards and toward talking and gesturing at our devices. And the signs that this is their plan, they are everywhere if you just know where to look. This isn't some 10-year plan, it is happening right now. Meta is going all in, betting the entire company on a hardware-first AI future. So what's the first big signal? The Ray-Ban Meta Smart Glasses. Now, selling 300,000 of them in the first year might not sound like iPhone numbers, but that's not the point. It's a critical first move. It's Meta's attempt to put its AI literally on your face, completely bypassing the phone and the company that owns the phone. This is them laying the foundation for their own property so they never have to rent again.
And then, of course, there was the rebrand. Remember when Facebook became Meta? That wasn't just some PR move to get away from bad press. No, it was a public declaration of war on device dependency. Zuckerberg was screaming to the world that the company's entire future, its very identity, was now tied to building the next great computing platform. So he would never, ever have to be a tenant again.
And just look at the money they're spending, $40 billion. That's how much cash Meta has burned through in its Reality Labs division. It's a number so big it has terrified Wall Street. But it also shows you just how serious they are. This isn't some side project. It's a desperate, all-or-nothing crusade to build their own kingdom, no matter what it costs. And finally, you don't even have to take my word for it. Just listen to what Zuckerberg himself says. He isn't talking about competing with ChatGPT. He's talking about, and I'm quoting here, AI assistants that live with you in your devices, mediating your entire digital life. The most important words there, in your devices. He means his devices. So, you see, this completely reframes the AI race. The real question isn't about whether Meta's AI is a little bit better than Google's or OpenAI's. It's actually something much more personal and much more direct than that. It all boils down to this. A few years from now, when you start talking to an AI as a normal part of your day, are you going to be doing it through a pair of Meta's glasses? Because if the answer is yes, then Zuck wins. He finally becomes the landlord of the next generation of computing. But if the answer is no, well, then he's right back where he started, a tenant, paying rent, and watching someone else build and own the future. That's the real game he's playing.